All right, how's the reception for you, Mark?
Yeah, but is this Jason? Yeah, how you doing, man?
Very good. This is Jason, and we got a good reception considering we're halfway around the world right now.
Yeah, certainly. That's nice and clean. Now I can hear you nice and clearly.
Excellent stuff. So, Mark Evans, how's it going with you these days? You got a new book coming out.
Yeah, that's right. Dirty Deeds. It's a memoir. It's Dirty Deeds. My life inside and outside of AC/DC. It's a lot of It's the first time there's been a book written about AC/DC, amongst many books, as you probably know. But it's the first time it's been a book written from inside the band, and I hasten to say that with the book, there's a lot of AC/DC stuff and a lot of photos and stuff. But it's a complete story of my life up until now. But that's a lot of cool AC/DC stuff and a lot of great memories, man. I really cherish my time with the guys. We had it was a great experience.
Also, in this book, is there going to be a lot of unreleased photos we've never seen?
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of photos that I've taken myself, just like backstage photos and just photos with the guys and stuff. It's just I just wanted to, there's been so many fans over the years have come up and asked me, well, what was it like? What was Bond like? What was it like being on the road with AC/DC? And these people are always really, really genuine and really just cool people, So it's a bit for like me to pay back all the support I've received over the years, just to put people on the inside of what it was like in the band, back right in the early days, like right back when the band really didn't amount to much. But we were on our way, and we're growing in Australia, then moving over to the UK and Europe. So it was a very interesting time, man. It's quite some time ago, but great days, man, great days.
In those days, did you ever foresee it was AC/DC would have been the biggest band in the world, like today? And
Oh, I don't think you could ever, I think the thing I had in common with the other guys in the band was that we knew we were a great band, and we knew if we worked hard, from when we sort of first kicked off in Australia, the band's success came really quickly. Through a lot of hard work, I may add, but it came quickly. And then we went over to UK and started at the bottom again and built it up quickly there, and the same in Europe. But I think you would be... just one moment. Sorry, mate. I think you would be very naive to say that you thought that, like these, 37 years later, it'd still be going, It's... The guys, it's got a lot to do with the vision that Malcolm, along with Angus and George Young, had of the band. It's those guys' commitment to what they're doing and what they're still doing now is just amazing. And they had a strong vision for the band, and they just followed it through. In relative terms, my tenure with the band was quite short. But I think it's a very interesting time for the fans to know about, like when we're starting off, when we really didn't amount to much, and it's a very early. My story with the band is about the very early days, and interesting times. A couple of parties too.
For sure.
Very good at partying. Very good at partying.
AC/DC still is probably.
Oh, yeah, I don't have a lot to do with the guys these days, but I definitely, watch what they're doing, and I've got a lot of respect for the guys. They're and I've got to tell you, they're my favorite band. I love the band, man. It's just a great rock and roll band.
Now, Mark, in the book, do you talk much about the recording sessions, like on the albums you're in?
Yeah. It's the first album I did with them. So the track listings are slightly different in different countries, but the first album I did with them was the T.N.T. album, which was the second album here in Australia. They recorded the original High Voltage album before I joined. But both the what's known as the High Voltage album in everywhere else except Australia is a compilation of the two first Australian albums. So T.N.T. was the first album or first time I set foot in a studio, really. And we just went in and, as it was AC/DC back in those days, everything was, we were working to a very tight schedule. So the T.N.T. album was recorded in 2 weeks. The first week was devoted to doing the backing tracks, and I must add it was, devoted to writing the songs. Back in those days, all the songs would be written in the studio, like, Phil and myself and Bonnet would have a little bit of an idea of some of the guitar pieces Angus and Malcolm were working on, but they'd take the ideas in the studio, sit down with George at the piano, and nut the songs out, and so everything was written in the studio, and the backing tracks recorded in the first week, and the second week was, left for doing the vocals and the solos and stuff. So we'd record an album in a 2 week period, which is in today's standards quite amazing. But all the time I was with the band, I recorded 3 albums. I recorded T.N.T. album, Dirty Deeds, and Let There Be Rock, and all the albums when I was with the band were done under the same schedule, pretty much recorded over a 2 week period, which is we're definitely a busy band. Let me tell you, we used to get a lot of work done.
Do you appear on 74 Jailbreak at all?
Yeah, I do. That's an album. That's an EP or something. Isn't it a 5-track EP or something?
Yeah, 1984 it was released. EP 5-track.
Yeah. See, that's not one I'm not particularly aware of. But yeah, I'm on that also. Yeah. Yeah, it's just there's been a whole bunch of different things that have been released in different areas, and like there's so many other sort of maybe unauthorized recordings too that I've appeared on, But yeah, Jailbreak 74, yeah, definitely that's I got to tell you, it's strange. I don't have a copy of any of the AC/DC stuff at all.
Wow.
It seems like an odd thing to say, but I don't have any copies of the albums or anything. I just it's just nothing. I really sort of chased. There you go. I do have copies of all the old records, but they're the gold records and stuff. They're the only ones I've got.
And throughout this day, you never got 74 Jailbreak at all?
No, I've got to say I've never even seen it.
Wow, very interesting.
I couldn't tell you what it looks like.
A very, very popular album.
Yeah, well, fantastic. That's great. I like all that stuff, So tell me about it. Is it a full album or just a few tracks?
5-song EP.
Oh, cool. Very cool. All right, that's cool. I'm going to have to go out and buy a copy.
I think you should, because it's a great album, and
I'll go get it.
I mean, I'm sure you recall, You Ain't Got a Hold on Me, and Soul Stripper.
Oh, yeah. There you go. See, that's where the albums come from. It's bits and probably stuff that didn't make it out in the original High Voltage album.
I do believe.
You Ain't Got a Hold on Me from the very first album. That was pre me joining the band. So I'm not too sure of the track listing. So obviously I didn't play on all of it, because You Ain't Got a Hold on Me is prior to me joining the band.
Who would have been playing bass at that era?
I'd say most probably George Young.
Okay.
But my answer there is from what I've been led to believe over the years. I wasn't there at the time, so I can't be sure. So it's only hearsay. But I would assume that would be George Young playing bass. Yeah.
And Baby Please Don't Go.
Possibly the same. It maybe George Young, or there's another bass player before me, a guy called Rob Bailey. It's either George or Rob, So I take that back. I played on Jailbreak, the actual Jailbreak song, but obviously not on some of that other stuff.
And because you're obviously in the music video of Jailbreak.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, there was quite a few different videos of Jailbreak shot. Probably the most memorable one is the one where we're in the quarries playing on all those rocks and stuff.
That would be the one we've seen in Canada so many times.
Yeah. Well, it's that was done by a TV show over here in Australia called Countdown, which was probably the major music program, weekly music program on the ABC over here. And they took us out in a location and shot that video with us. And then they also did you ever see that one, The Long Way to the Top, where we're playing on the back of the truck?
Yeah.
That's also a Countdown clip. The ABC here in Australia is a government-run TV network. So yeah, it's a non-commercial network, but yeah. They were very, very involved. Countdown were very, very involved early on with the band. There's a guy that used to produce Countdown, a guy called Ian Meldrum, and he's still very much involved in Australian music these days. And he got right behind the band and really gave the band a super push. And it was right at the time when Baby Please Don't Go first came out in Australia, which was the band's first hit here in Australia. And he really got behind it with Countdown, and the band had got new management. A guy called Michael Browning took over the band. The first album came out. So there's a whole bunch of things coalesced into giving the band a massive push. But one of the interesting things about When Baby Please Don't Go come out as a single here in Australia, it was actually the B-side of the single. It wasn't the A-side. The A-side was this song called Love Song, which was a very middle-of-the-road type song, and I don't know if you've ever...
I've heard it, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's very un-AC/DC, So the radio stations, particularly down in Melbourne, where the band was based at that time, radio station got through. They flipped it over and they played the B-side instead. So that was just it was lucky Baby Please Don't Go was on the B-side, and
wow.
That was much more the band rather than that other song,
Now, Mark, did you ever see the DVD Family Jewels, which you appear on?
I've seen bits and pieces of that. Yes, I have.
And I'm sure that was a great flashback when you've seen all that.
Yeah. Oh, it's good. My memories of the band and being with the band are very vivid anyway. Hence, writing the book Dirty Deeds. It's all the stuff is just from a memory. I'm blessed with a very, very good memory. But seeing those things, it's great. They're great, all great memories, Jason. I really enjoyed my time with the band. It was a whole load of hard work and a lot of traveling and stuff, but it was just a great period of time. No one at the time could have quite realized what the band would go on to achieve.
Right.
But it's just an amazing journey, and recounting it all for Dirty Deeds in the book. It was a really interesting process to go through. Like I mentioned, a major part of the book is the AC/DC stuff, but there's a lot of stuff happened, prior to that and afterwards, of course. But yeah, just sitting down and writing a book. It was some great memories, man, and it's a very steep learning curve. Like, particularly when you asked about going into the studio, when you go into in a studio and you're going to go, like T.N.T. was my first record I ever made. You go in there and you've got a guy like George Young being your mentor, mm-hmm. and pointing you in the right direction and helping you out with your playing. The guy's the most astute guy I've ever met in the music business, and he's just a great guy to work with, And so it was. You go in there, you got George Young working in there with you. You got Harry Vander, and then you're working in a rhythm section that's got Phil Rudd as a drummer and Malcolm Young as a rhythm guitar player, and you're playing bass. You're flying first class, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great setup to be involved in.
How loud would have been in the studio recording bass tracks, let's say?
Everything was recorded. The rhythm tracks, or the basic guitar tracks, drums, and bass were all recorded at the same time. They were all recorded, virtually live. The whole four of us,
right.
The whole four of us playing together at once. That's how the band recorded. There'd be the guitar amps and bass amps in one room, and the drums in another room, sort of sectioned off a little bit, so we could still see Phil, though, of course. So all the backing tracks were recorded live. The solos, the guitar solos, were added on later, along with the vocals, of course. The song would take form. We'd get a good backing track down, and then that would be put on a cassette. That would be given to Bon, and Bon then would start working on the lyrics. So, all the backing tracks would get written first, and Bon would have, a stockpile of lyrics sitting around, because the things he'd be working on when he's on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And then it fit things up to the structure of the song. But everything was pretty much recorded live. Like the two guitars, and then bass and drums are all recorded at once. So there was there might have been some bleeps and blurps fixed up later on or whatever, but just normal things. And the whole thing is, long as the backing track had the swing to it, and had the aggression, had the fire in it, that's the one we'd use,
Let's say for autographs, when's the last time you signed an AC/DC album?
Last Saturday.
Last Saturday. So it's very common that you do this.
I'm still involved. I do a lot of. I'm still playing a lot, of course. I'm in I do a blues thing with a buddy of mine, a singer called Dave Tice. He had probably Australia's first heavy metal band back in the 70s called Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Great band. And we do an acoustic duo. So I'm playing a lot of acoustic blues guitar these days. So I started off playing the blues, and then I've 40 years later, I'm back playing the blues again, which is great. But we have people turning up to gigs wanting me to sign AC/DC albums, and of course now wanting me to sign copies of Dirty Deeds. So I probably signed 3 or 4 AC/DC albums last Saturday at a show we did here in Sydney. They crop up quite a bit. I got to tell you, there's a lot of AC/DC albums out there, Jason. There's a lot of them.
Oh, yeah, I know. And for some reason, you're not seeing 74 Jailbreak appear anywhere.
No. See, that was never released here in Australia. So it's like I said, there's different track listings in different territories. If I'm over in the States or Canada, I'm going to have to get a copy.
Well, I'll have to send you a copy down.
Yeah, no worries. It's a long way down here, pal.
I know. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
Yeah, a long way to Australia if you want to send a record down, huh?
That too. So you're keeping healthy in music, then?
Oh yeah. I'm still doing a lot of playing. I just did a couple of shows last month, tribute shows to Bond, because it was would have been his 65th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
We did one over in Fremantle and another one on the East Coast here in Australia, with some great players, and we had Simon Wright playing drums.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we had like an AC/DC rhythm section with a couple of good other singers and a couple of great guitar players. A guitar player called James Morley and another guy called Mick Adkins, and Swanee from a band out here called The Paw. He's a great singer. The Paw's drummer was James Young, Malcolm and Angus's nephew. So it's all interrelated. And the other singer was a guy called Dave Gleason from a band out here called the Screaming Jets. Yeah, so we did those gigs, and we sort of celebrated Bond's what would have been his 65th birthday. So yeah, I'm getting back and playing a bit of bass again these days, which is great. I'm doing some more shows with that too over the next couple of weeks, and it's good. I'm really enjoying playing. The main focus of my playing these days is the acoustic duo, and it's ingeniously called Dave Tice and Mark Evans. But we've got a CD coming out late November, a new CD. So yeah, it's It's all good. There's a lot of work going on, and I'm really enjoying playing. It's great to get back to playing bass, but my main thing is I'm playing a lot of guitar these days. I started off as a guitar player,
Okay.
but I just switched over to bass about 6 months before I joined AC/DC. And so I play guitar and bass, and I enjoy it a lot.
Mark Evans, been a real pleasure talking to you, and I can't wait to see Dirty
thank you very much
Deeds.
for calling up, man.
No problem, and I look forward to talking to you after I get the book.
Yeah, well, yeah. Hey, after you read the book, you're gonna know all the stories, man. They're all in there. It's a great process writing the book. There's a lot of really cool things in there with photos and stuff. And there's a letter in there that's a letter that Bond wrote to a female fan that you just have to read to be believed, man. It's just a wild letter he sent out to a fan.
Look forward to seeing that.
Just thinking about it, man. Bond was a great guy, man. He was a great guy to do, to work with. He's a real. He was a great pal. It was a party on legs. Let me tell you.
Guaranteed. My life inside and outside AC/DC, Dirty Deeds. Awesome.
All right then, Jace. You take care, man.